one of nature's masterworks, the ultimate long-distance athlete. At full speed, it uses less energy than any animal its size. The kangaroo is shaped by the land in which it lives, one of the most challenging places on Earth. Australia is a vast, ancient, weathered land, isolated from all others for 40 million years. It is a place of extremes, more like another planet than another continent. Traveling over Australia's 3 million square miles is like crossing an ocean of dry land. Primeval landscapes belie its rich, resourceful life. Australia is almost equal in size to the continental United States. It is the driest, vegetated continent on Earth. Surrounded by 3 oceans, it is the world's largest island. It shares no border with any other country. Here, some of the Earth's oldest rocks hold fossils from the dawn of life. In its heartland are mountain ranges that once rivaled Everest, built up and worn down over time. And remnants of a once vast inland sea. Today, Australia is the Earth's flattest continent. Its mountains were worn to their stumps millions of years ago. The Nullarbor Plain, on its southern coast, has the world's longest unbroken coastal cliffs. Once you could walk to Antarctica from here. If the dry outback is a land ocean, these parallel sand dunes are its waves. Stretching beyond the horizons, they cover nearly half the continent. Millions of years of rain and drying winds long ago leached the goodness from most of its soil. In the red center, there is no regular, predictable pattern of rainfall. Poor soils and a savage climate now challenge all life in this land. Nature responded to the changing conditions. The kangaroo started its journey as a marsupial possum, the size of a mouse. As forests contracted, some kangaroos evolved to live in the trees, and others learned to eat grass. When food is plentiful, the males are active, and courtship disputes are traditionally settled with a round or two of kickboxing. Mothers and babies sensibly keep out of the way. The koala evolved from the same marsupial possum as the kangaroo. When the baby is big enough to leave the pouch, it rides on its mother's back. Koalas use as little energy as possible, resting about 19 hours a day. When moving from tree to tree, they normally descend backwards. Consequently, treetop traffic jams can sometimes leave one out on a limb. One of the most remarkable living links with that ancient world is found in the creeks and freshwater rivers of the East Coast. The platypus suckles its young like a mammal, yet lays eggs like a lizard. It hunts underwater with its eyes shut, using electric sensors in its bill. The first Europeans to see it were dumbfounded. To them it was a living contradiction, if not a practical joke. The platypus, though, has survived for 120 million years. Today, it exists nowhere else on Earth. The nearest surviving relative of the platypus is the echidna. With its tubular snout and long, sticky tongue, it lives on ants and termites. Relief from drought is unpredictable and often arrives a long way from where it is needed. Each year, the tropical wet season brings storms and flooding to Australia's far north. As the monsoon unfurls curtains of rain, a transformation begins. As the wetlands fill, crocodiles emerge from scattered waterholes where they've been confined during the dry season. They will build nests above the high water level and lay up to 100 eggs. vast networks of wetlands that have been dry since last season are flooded again. Sometimes this powerful event can also transform Australia's arid centre. In years when rains are heavier and more widespread than usual, the water flows inland to the parched interior. Briefly, the desert blossoms in a colorful tide of new life. One of the few large predators in this land also participates in the bonanza. Australia's wild dog, the dingo, arrived from nearby Asia about 4,000 years ago. Its pups will feed on the plentiful supply of rodents and reptiles that are also multiplying in the abundant conditions. Tens of thousands of pelicans are drawn by the irresistible call of inland water. Responding to reflections far away in the sky, the birds fly hundreds of miles to gather on the shores of newly filled desert lakes. With more than 500,000 nesting birds, colonies of this size are a rare event. Land beyond time, life has learned to ride out the hard times and flourish in the good times. Far more than merely surviving, life has triumphed in Australia.